The deep edge of the galaxy was silent. Too silent. Commander Vale sat in the control chair of the Driftlight, a small Stellar Union exploration ship. His long, feathered ears twitched as he stared at the holographic screen. The crew had been on patrol for weeks, mapping dead space, logging asteroid fields, checking for anything remotely interesting. Until now, they'd found nothing. Then a sound came, just a soft beep, a signal. "Sir," called the comms officer, a pale-shelled crew member named Ryo. "We're picking up something strange." Vale straightened. "From where?" Ryo's eyes flicked over the data. "Approximately 3 light minutes off our starboard bow. But this can't be right. It's on a human frequency. Old Earth-style code." Silence followed. Everyone on the bridge froze. "Say that again," Vale said slowly. "It's human. Real old. From before their collapse." Ryo looked up. "It's a distress call. Humans." The word felt like a myth. The Stellar Union had never met a living one. They were a vanished species, a mystery. Some said they'd destroyed themselves. Others said something worse had taken them. "Pinpoint it," Vale ordered. His heart was beating faster now. "And send a probe." Minutes passed. Then the probe scan returned. "It's coming from a structure," Ryo reported. "No known design. Massive. Looks like it's buried in an asteroid cluster. But it's not natural. The shape is too perfect. No impact damage. It's waiting." Vale stood. "Launch a drone for visual. I want to see it." The crew watched the live feed as it loaded on the main display. Out of the gray tumble of space rock, something massive emerged. A hull. Dark metal. Angular but smooth. Quiet. Too quiet. "It's a ship," whispered Ryo. "Not just a ship. It was an ark. Sealed, ancient, and clearly human." "I don't like this," said Chief Engineer Nellis. "No beacons, no movement, no signs of power, and yet it's still broadcasting?" Vale stared at the screen. "Prepare a boarding team." "Sir," said Nellis. "You want to go in there?" "Yes." Vale's voice was firm. "If that is a human ship, it could be the discovery of the century. We go." An hour later, the small boarding craft touched down on the side of the Ark ship. Its hull, even after what had to be hundreds of years, was untouched by space, as if it had been frozen in time. The outer hatch opened for them. Not by force, not by hacking. It opened by itself. "Pressure and air levels are stable," said one crew member. "Incredible. It's like it's been keeping itself alive all this time." They stepped inside. The air was still. The hallways were dark, but not empty. Lining the walls were dormant lights, long dead terminals, strange symbols, all in a language only known through half-deciphered ruins. But one thing was clear. This place had a purpose. And it was not peace. "This ship wasn't made for exploration," Vale murmured. "It's a vault. Maybe even a weapon." They walked deeper. They passed walls covered in sealed doors. None opened. The ship didn't react again. It stayed quiet until they reached a room near the center. A door slid open, slowly, and inside they found the core chamber. A single stasis pod stood in the middle of a circular platform, surrounded by old tech, still humming, still powered, as if it had been waiting for them. "Readings show a heartbeat," someone whispered. Vale's throat went dry. "A living human? Impossible," Nellis muttered. "No system can last this long." But the heartbeat was real. Faint, slow, steady. After all this time, someone was still inside. "This ship kept them alive," said Ryo. "Through all of it." Vale approached the pod. His hand hovered near the controls. Then the lights flickered. Something deeper in the ship groaned, and the floor trembled beneath their feet. "It's waking up," Nellis said. "No," Vale whispered. "He is." From inside the pod, the human stirred. His hand twitched. A single eye cracked open, and it glowed, not from light, but from purpose. A low sound, almost like a growl of metal, echoed through the walls. The ship was responding. To him. And from deep space, far beyond where their sensors reached, something else heard the change too. Something watching. Something hungry. Something that had not forgotten what humans once did. Vale stepped back, eyes wide. We need to leave. Now. But it was too late. The human was awake. The human didn't speak at first. He just lay there, breathing slowly, eyes open but distant. The crew stood frozen. The ship around them had gone quiet again, but the lights stayed on dim, humming softly like a sleeping beast. Vale approached carefully. Can you understand me? He asked, unsure if the ship's translation systems were active. The human's eyes flicked to him. Then, after a long pause, he sat up. Everyone took a step back. The stasis pod hissed and unlocked. Tubes retracted. Cold vapor rolled off his body like mist. I hear you, the human said at last. His voice was dry, cracked, but deep and steady. The translator unit in Vale's suit kicked in. The words came through cleanly. You've been asleep a long time, Vale said gently. We're part of the Stellar Union. This sector has been uninhabited for over 200 cycles. The human blinked. Slowly, his eyes focused on Vale. Where am I? You're aboard your own vessel. We found it adrift. No damage. Just quiet. The human looked around. He swung his legs over the edge of the pod, testing the floor beneath him. His muscles were weak, but they held. This is the Vigilant Promise, right? He asked. Vale nodded. That's what our scans translated. I'm Mason, the human said simply. Commander Mason Reich, Earth Defense, Special Division. He glanced at the other crew members, Ryo, Nellis, and 2 security officers who were clearly nervous. Are you the only ones who found me? He asked. Yes, Vale replied. We were following a signal, your ship's distress beacon. Mason frowned. That shouldn't have triggered unless... He didn't finish. He just stood, slowly, and began walking across the chamber. Panels lit up where he stepped. You said this place was quiet when you found it, he said. But the beacon was active? Vale nodded again. Then something woke it before you arrived, Mason muttered. Could it be automatic? Nellis offered. Some timer, maybe? Mason didn't answer. He pressed his hand to a wall panel. The lights shifted, and a low pulse echoed through the ship. This isn't a normal ship, he said. It's part of something larger. A network. Protocol Ember. It was designed to stay hidden. Until it wasn't. Ryo spoke up. You said, Protocol Ember? What is that? Mason turned to them, his face unreadable. Our final plan. Before Earth fell, we launched several vessels like this one. Arc ships. Each carried knowledge, defense tech, and people like me. People like you? Vale asked. I was changed. Enhanced. Not with machines. With adaptive biology, quantum learning. They needed soldiers who could lead, not just fight. Think faster. Learn faster. But we were incomplete. We were waiting. For what? Nellis asked. For the signal. For someone to find us. For something to happen. At that moment, a sound cut through the room. A long, rising tone. Mason's head snapped up. He moved to a control console, fingers flying across the interface like he'd never been asleep. The screen showed strange, flickering lines. Then a wave. An energy signature. Something moving fast toward the edge of the system. It's them, Mason whispered. Vale stepped closer. Who? The reason we built Ember. The reason Earth is gone. He turned slowly. We called them the Shroud. The room went cold. They weren't ships. Not like yours. Not like ours. They were different. They unraveled matter. They fed on thought. They broke the laws of physics. That's not possible, Ryo said, though her voice shook. I watched them strip the moons of Jupiter down to dust in hours. Mars fell in days. They don't just destroy. They learn. Every weapon we used, useless the second time. Mason's eyes were locked on the energy signature. It was still coming. Closer. And fast. Vale turned to his crew. We need to alert command. No time, Mason said. They found this ship because I woke up. That means they're scanning, listening. If they lock onto the system, you'll lose your vessel, your crew, everything. Nellis pointed at the display. Can we fight them? Mason's face darkened. This ship wasn't built to win. It was built to survive. And to hide something else. He pressed another panel. A hidden chamber on the far wall slid open. Inside were 5 more stasis pods. But they were empty. Mason stared at them in silence. They were supposed to be here, he said. 5 others. My team. Where are they? Vale asked. I don't know. Then, from the ship's comms, a faint voice crackled to life. It was human, and it was crying. The voice coming through the comms was faint, shaky, a whisper through static. Anyone, please. This is Ember Arc 12. Systems failing. Can't hold. Then silence. Everyone on the bridge froze. Mason stared at the speaker like it had spoken from beyond the grave. That's Anna, he said quietly. Commander Anna Solon. She was part of my team. Her arc was never meant to be this close. Something's wrong. Can we trace the signal? Vale asked, already motioning to Ryo. Ryo's hands flew across the controls. Yes, triangulating, it's weak, but it's coming from about 1 light hour away, near the edge of the dust ring. Plot a course, Vale ordered. Move fast. Mason didn't wait. He was already heading down the corridor. Where are you going? Vale asked. To the core chamber, Mason called back. The ship has a jump drive. I'm going to wake it. You're going to what? Nellis nearly shouted. But Mason didn't answer. Inside the heart of the Vigilant Promise, Mason found the main system's interface. The lights here glowed brighter now, like the ship itself was waking up with him. Panels shifted. A console rose from the floor, scanning him as he stepped onto the command ring. Commander Mason Reich, it said in a calm voice. Welcome back. I need emergency warp drive reactivation, he said. Target. Beacon source Delta 1-2. Coordinates confirmed. Power systems charging. Neural link available. Mason hesitated, then stepped onto the core plate. Tiny metal threads reached for him. He winced as they touched the back of his neck, locking into the ports in his spine. Pain surged, then clarity. The ship became smaller, or maybe he became bigger. He could feel the systems, the engines humming, the energy pulsing through them. He could feel the damage, the repairs, the long sleep, and the sudden awakening. I'm back, Mason whispered. Let's fly. On the bridge, the rest of the crew watched in awe as lights flared down the hallways. The walls vibrated. The engines powered up. Ryo looked shocked. The ship, it's moving on its own. No, Vale said, his voice low. Mason is flying it. Within moments, the massive vessel rotated smoothly and locked onto the target vector. The starlight warped ahead of it. Then the jump began. The feeling inside the ship was strange, like falling without moving. The stars around them stretched into streams of light. The alien crew braced themselves, but Mason stood still, calm. The ship obeyed him as if it were alive. Within minutes, they arrived. The scene ahead was chaos. A huge asteroid field drifted through space, lit up by flickers of damaged engines and failing lights. In the center, a small arc ship, sleeker, smaller than Mason's, was tumbling slowly, one of its wings torn apart. Its beacon was flickering. There she is, Mason said softly. Arc 12, Anna's ship. Any life signs? Vale asked quickly. Scanning, Mason replied, eyes glowing faintly now as the link deepened. Yes, 1 pod active. Low vitals. He launched a boarding drone toward the smaller arc. It drifted through the wreckage, debris scraping its sides, until it reached the main hatch. Airlock sealed, Ryo reported. No external damage there. Let me try something, Mason said. He closed his eyes. From inside the ship, something shifted. The airlock responded, as if it recognized him. It opened. Docking now, Ryo confirmed. Mason's voice came through clearly. I'm going aboard. Vale started to protest, but Mason cut him off. If she's still alive, she'll need to see someone she knows. If the link is damaged, I'm the only one who can stabilize it. The boarding drone switched to internal view. Through the dim hallway, they could see the stasis room. One pod still had power. Inside it, a woman with short black hair floated in stillness, her vitals flickering on the side panel. Anna, Mason whispered. He moved closer and the pod lit up. Recognition confirmed, said the ship's AI voice. Neural pairing accepted. The pod began to open. Cold mist spilled out again. Her chest rose, then fell. Slowly, then again. Her eyes fluttered open. She gasped, and then coughed hard, choking on the sudden air. Mason caught her, holding her steady. "You're okay," he said. "You made it." Her eyes locked on his. "Mason?" she said, her voice hoarse. He nodded. "I thought I was alone." "Not anymore." Then the warning came. From the console nearby, red lights flared. "Unknown energy source approaching," said the AI. Outside the Ark ship, a shadow had begun to rise from the asteroid field. Not a ship, not a creature, something else. The shroud had found them, and it was hungry. The shadow kept growing. From the window of the damaged Ark ship, Vale and his crew could see it forming. A swirl of blackness twisting in space. No engines, no structure, just a mass of darkness stretching and pulsing like it was alive. "That's not a ship," Nellis said, staring in disbelief. "No," Mason said, lifting Anna carefully from the pod. "It's the shroud." The dark shape wasn't moving fast, but the space around it shimmered and bent. Lights on the nearby asteroids flickered and went out. Metal started cracking in silence. The Ark ship systems, already damaged, began to fail again. "It's starting," Mason said grimly. "They unravel things, matter, light, even thought. We can't fight it with regular weapons." Anna leaned on him, still weak, but alert. "The others? Are they alive?" "Don't know yet," Mason replied. "But we found this ship because of you. That means something. The network is waking up." They moved quickly. Mason carried Anna toward the exit while guiding the rest of the crew through the drone feed. "We have to jump," Vale said over the comms. "We can't stay here." "We can't leave either," Mason answered. "Not until I activate the failsafe." "What failsafe?" Ryo asked. Mason reached a small panel on the wall of the Ark ship. His fingers danced across it, entering a code only he knew. The screen blinked red, then blue. "Each Ember Ark was built with one defense," Mason explained. "Not to fight, but to delay. This ship has a pulse core. If I overload it, it'll send a logic wave, something the shroud can't process. It'll confuse it, make it hesitate." "You'll destroy the ship," Vale said. "It's already dying," Mason replied. "And we can't let the shroud follow us." He pulled Anna's arm over his shoulder. "We're out of time." Back on the Vigilant Promise, Vale gave the order. "Prepare to dock with the damaged Ark. Fast extraction." The ship moved in, engines flaring. Nellis worked the thrusters while Ryo managed the docking clamps. The crew held their breath. The moment the ship connected, Mason and Anna came through the airlock. Mason hit the seal. "Go!" he shouted. "Did you set the failsafe?" Vale asked. Mason nodded. "It'll detonate in 1 minute. Get us out of here," Vale ordered. The Vigilant Promise pulled back, engines screaming. Behind them, the shadow kept reaching forward, slow, like smoke stretching underwater. It was almost beautiful in a terrifying way. 50 seconds, Ryo counted. Anna, still catching her breath, gripped a railing. "Mason, what if it doesn't work?" "Then we run," he said. At 30 seconds, the dark mass suddenly reacted. It felt the charge building in the dying Ark ship. Tendrils of black energy lashed out, swiping at the hull, but too late. At 0, the Ark ship exploded. Not in fire, but in blue-white pulses of light that rippled through space like a ripple in water. The shroud convulsed. Its shape twisted and cracked, not breaking apart, but pulling inward like a machine jamming on itself. Then it vanished, just gone. like a dream chased away by morning light. Silence. Ryo let out a breath. Is it gone? For now, Mason said. That wasn't the full thing. Just a fragment. A scout. But yes, we stopped it. The ship jumped away from the blast zone, entering safe space once more. Anna had been taken to the med bay. The crew returned to the bridge. Vale turned to Mason. You said there are others. Other humans. Yes, Mason said. The Ember Arcs were scattered across the stars. Each with a commander like me. Like Anna. If we can find the rest, we'll have a chance. To fight the Shroud? Nellis asked. To stop it, Mason replied. We couldn't do it before. We were too late. But now, something's changed. You found us. That means this isn't just humanity's fight anymore. Vale looked out at the stars. You think your people will remember who they were? Mason smiled faintly. If they're alive, they'll remember. Humanity never forgets what it fights for. Suddenly, a light blinked on Ryo's console. Another signal, she said. Different pattern this time. Farther out. But it's the same type of Arkship frequency. Mason's eyes lit up. Then it's working. The network's waking up. Anna's voice came through the bridge speakers, still weak but strong enough to speak. Let's go find them, she said. The stars ahead shimmered. Somewhere out there, more humans were sleeping, waiting, and this time they wouldn't face the dark alone. The new signal led them toward a cold, empty system with no planets. Only drifting rock and dust clouds that had once been a moon belt. The stars here looked distant and dim, like they were watching instead of shining. Vale's ship, the Vigilant Promise, slowed to sublight speed as they approached the source. This place is dead, Ryo said softly, eyes fixed on the scanner. No signs of civilization, not even solar activity. It's like the whole system was drained. Keep looking, Mason said. He stood behind her, arms crossed, face tense. If the signal came from here, something's buried in the dark. The bridge was quiet, the crew watching their monitors. Anna sat nearby, recovering fast but still pale. She held a datapad, tracking pulse rhythms from the Arkship signal. The frequency pulsed in slow, steady waves, like a heartbeat. Then they saw it. A shape drifted into view, nearly invisible against the dark background. It was large, round, covered in layers of debris and rock. But as the ship drew closer, the structure became clear. A space station, completely sealed off, half buried in asteroid fragments. There it is, Nellis said. But that's not a ship. Mason leaned in. No, it's a cradle. A what? Vale asked. It's not an ark. It's a station built to protect one. A human base that shielded sleeping ships during the fall. This might be where they sent multiple pods. We didn't think any survived. As they approached, lights on the station flickered. Just for a moment. Something's alive in there, Anna said. The signal matches the Ember encryption. And I think it's calling out to more than us. They docked carefully. The outer hull was thick with rock and ice. But the docking bay door opened slowly, responding to Mason's signal like a door opening for an old friend. Inside, the station was cold, dark, and full of echoes. Dust floated in the air like frozen mist. The team moved in. Mason took point with Anna and two of Vale's soldiers close behind. Vale insisted on going too. You said something else might have heard the last pulse, he reminded them. If the Shroud is hunting signals, we can't leave you unguarded. They passed through silent corridors, each wall covered in ancient markings and warning signs in Old Earth languages. Mason read them like they were printed yesterday. Defense protocols active memory core sealed. Secondary vaults offline. They reached the central chamber. A single stasis pod stood in the middle of the room, its casing smoother and newer than the ones they'd seen before. It glowed faintly, and inside was another human. Tall, muscular, with silver implants along both arms and a neural brace around the head. That's Commander Aaron, Mason said, almost in disbelief. He was one of our strongest. Tactical unit leader. Anna walked over to the pod's panel. His vitals are stable, barely. Systems are holding, but only just. Mason looked around. There were supposed to be 6 pods here. Where are the others? Anna scanned the system. Gone. But not broken. I'm reading jump signatures. Small, short range. They left recently. Someone woke them, Mason said. Or they woke themselves. Before anyone could reply, the station lights flickered again. And then the voice came. A harsh, whispering tone filled the room. Not from speakers, but from the walls themselves. You woke the embers, but the fire burns uncontrolled. Everyone froze. Vale's hand moved toward his communicator. What is that? Mason stepped forward. Shroud fragment. It's infected the station systems. Anna turned to him, her face pale. How did it get in? The same way it always does, Mason said. It listens. It learns. And then, it speaks. The pod hissed suddenly. The human inside stirred. His eyes opened. Bright white. Glowing. He sat up, muscles stiff but strong. Aaron, Mason said carefully. The man looked at them all. You're late, he said, voice hoarse but steady. Then the walls shook. An alert echoed from the ship. Ryo's voice came through the comm. Commander, something's coming out of the asteroid field. Fast. It's pulling light into it. Mason's face turned grim. The shroud is here. Aaron stood from the pod, already scanning the systems with sharp eyes. Then we'd better finish waking the rest. The fire wasn't just returning. It was spreading. The walls kept shaking. Dust rained down from the ceiling. We need to move now, Mason said. This station won't hold if the shroud breaches the outer hull. Aaron was already stepping down from the pod platform. He looked like he hadn't been asleep at all. His movements were sharp, controlled. His white eyes faded back to normal. I'll guide you to the control hub, he said. It's 1 floor down. We can see what's left of the systems, and maybe locate the other pods. Vale gave a sharp nod to his soldiers. Stay close, watch the flanks. The team rushed down a narrow metal staircase. Lights flickered above, and strange static buzzed through the air. Every now and then, a shadow moved just out of sight, quick, wrong, like space itself was twisting. The shroud doesn't always attack with force, Mason warned. It breaks minds first, tries to confuse you, split you apart. Lovely, Nellis muttered. They entered the hub. A large round room lined with old Earth control panels and chairs still bolted to the floor. Most of the screens were dark, but one pulsed with a red glow. Anna rushed to it. This panel's still alive. I can patch in. The screen lit up, showing a map of the station. Several sections blinked red. One hallway had been torn open to space. But near the far edge of the station, 3 dots blinked faintly. Pods, Anna said. Still intact, in a sealed vault. It's locked from inside. They woke, Mason said, but stayed hidden. Then we're going there, Aaron said, already moving. Suddenly, the station lights all went out. Darkness swallowed them whole. Then came the voice again. Run. Hide. Sleep again. The stars are no longer yours. Vale's team turned on their suit lights. Beams cut through the dark, but the shadows didn't behave right. They stretched too long, twisted in the wrong directions. Keep moving, Mason said. Ignore the voices. That's not real. It wants you scared. They rushed through the corridors, pushing toward the blinking dots on Anna's scanner. The air felt heavy, like something huge was pressing down from above. Then came the first attack. A tendril, thin and black as smoke, slid down from a ceiling vent. It wrapped around one soldier's ankle and pulled him into the air. He screamed. Vale fired his plasma sidearm, burning the tendril into mist. The soldier dropped hard, gasping but alive. They're inside the vents, Aaron growled. We need to move faster. They reached the sealed vault door. Mason pressed his hand to the panel. Nothing happened. They locked it from the inside, Anna said. I can override it, but I'll need a minute. You've got 30 seconds, Mason said, raising his weapon and covering the hallway. Aaron stood beside him. Good to have you back, Commander. You too, Mason replied. Another tendril appeared, but Aaron shot it mid-air. It vanished like smoke in wind. I've got it, Anna shouted. The door slid open. Inside, 3 more humans stood in a circle already awake. One was tall, armored, with glowing tattoos. Another wore a visor that flickered with code. The third held a small drone on her shoulder, blinking fast. You made it, said the armored one. His voice was deep, steady. We're late, Mason said, stepping in. But we're here. This all of us? The woman with the drone asked. Not yet, Aaron said. But it's enough to begin. More shaking. The floor tilted slightly, groaning under pressure. We can't stay, Vale said. The station's tearing apart. I agree, said the human with the visor. We've got 1 jump beacon left in the vault. I can sync it with the vigilant promise. Emergency pull. Anna nodded. Do it. The visor flared as he connected. Stand still. 5 seconds. The station trembled harder. A long metallic shriek echoed from the hull. Then, flash, the light bent, and they were gone. The next moment they stood on the vigilant promise inside the cargo bay. Safe. The ship rocked slightly, adjusting to the sudden transfer. Ryo's voice crackled through the intercom. We have everyone. Are you all right? We are now, Mason said. Outside, on the ship screen, the station broke apart completely. The shadow swallowed it whole, dragging the pieces into the void. Anna stepped up beside Mason. That was close. Mason nodded. Too close. But we're not alone anymore. Vale looked at the 5 humans now standing in his bay, each one different, powerful, focused. The fire you spoke of, he said slowly. It's spreading. Mason met his eyes. No, he said. Now it's burning back. The vigilant promise drifted in quiet space, far from the ruined station. The stars around them were peaceful again, but everyone knew it wouldn't last. In the ship's command room, Captain Vale stood with Mason, Anna, Aaron, and the other awakened humans. The atmosphere was heavy, part relief, part fear, part something deeper. They'll be back, said Aaron, pacing slowly. That was only 1 shroud fragment. We've seen entire systems fall in hours when the main mass arrives. We don't know how much they've changed, Anna added. If they learned anything from that fight, they'll come harder next time. Vale looked from one human to the next. How many more of you are still sleeping? We don't know, Mason admitted. We scattered across the galaxy. Each arc had its own path, its own mission. Some of us might never have been found. But now they will, said the human with the visor. We've reactivated the Ember network. Every time we wake up, the signal gets stronger. The others will hear it, said the drone specialist. Her tiny machine buzzed quietly beside her. They'll come. But will they come in time? Asked Nellis from the bridge console. How long before the shroud reaches another system? We don't wait, Mason said. We go to them. We rebuild. We teach. Vale raised a brow. Teach. Mason turned toward him. You've seen how your weapons don't work against the shroud. But ours do because we don't fight them with strength. We fight them with pattern, with logic, with confusion. We used our flaws as weapons. You turned your own weaknesses into strategy, Vale said slowly. That's a very human idea. We made mistakes, Mason admitted. A lot of them. But in the end, we didn't die. We changed. We adapted. And now we fight not to survive, but to win. Anna stepped forward. We need allies. The Stellar Union has ships, fleets, mines. And now you've seen the enemy too. Vale studied her, then glanced at his own crew. Ryo nodded. Nellis crossed his arms and gave a short grunt, his version of agreement. We'll speak to the council, Vale said. You'll have our voice. They'll listen. They have to, Aaron said, because the next wave won't just target old ruins. It'll hit living colonies. Real people. Suddenly, Ryo's screen lit up. Captain, she said, her voice tight. Incoming transmission. Civilian colony on world Eltra 5. They're reporting a storm in space. Black lightning. System failures. Gravity spikes. Mason and Anna looked at each other. That's them, Mason said. They've already moved. Coordinates locked, Ryo added. It's about 5 jumps from here. Too far for just one ship, Nellis said. Even with our jump drive. We'll send warnings, Vale said. Alert the local patrols. But you, he turned to Mason. You go. Now. Mason nodded. We'll take the Ember team and drop straight in. If there's a shroud breach forming, we can delay it. Maybe even collapse it completely. Anna moved toward the docking bay. We need a small ship. Fast, with basic shielding. You'll have it, Vale promised. Mason paused at the door. This isn't just our fight anymore. The shroud doesn't care about species or borders. Consumes. That's all it knows. But we know something it doesn't, Aaron said, stepping beside him. What's that? Vale asked. That the fire never died, Aaron answered. It just waited. With that, the humans entered the transport ship. The doors closed behind them. Engines flared. From the bridge, Vale watched as the small vessel launched, vanishing into jump space. The stars returned to stillness. For now, Vale turned to his crew. Record this day, he said. History changed here. Humanity returned, and brought war with them. No one spoke. They didn't need to. Far across the galaxy, in a dark corner of space, something ancient and angry was watching, listening, feeling the signal spread like sparks on dry leaves. But this time the sparks weren't fading. They were catching, and the fire was coming.